using the mark as the boat or the pin. So it's totally random. So you have to kind of figure it out right as we go, or when they finish. So I'll let you guys just watch this. Feel free to have me stop it and talk about anything, and go from there.
Perfect. It's good. It's recording.
Well done.
Thank you.
Is it recording? It doesn't look like it.
No, it is recording. But now I'm.
So this first one's just about solid boat handling.
Let's go.
And how, especially in these really light conditions, like having strong boat handling makes everything. You could win situations just by doing that. In boat 14, just so you know, it's Kieran Chung, so he was 175 pounds laser sailor, right? And he's able to boat handle with everybody. There was the pin, by the way. All right, any questions, comments, concerns?
So like in this last scenario with these two boats at the pin, so 13 tacks, they can in theory start with a clean lane, but when other boats are on the line, how does that sort of play in? Like, obviously it's different every time, but are you looking to tack and then tack back underneath the middle pair, or?
Most of the time, no. You're just becoming the reverse rabbit.
Okay.
Right, so you're tacking and you're going all the way out, and you become the rightmost boat. So this is where we talked about the scenario yesterday, like you force your pin pair to have a really bad pin start, and you blow out. And you can go all the way, and now you become the rightmost boat. Right? Most of the time, it's really hard, especially in a 420, to come back in that lane. And an FJ, maybe you could, but it would have to be really open, right, to do it. 90% of the time, you're just going straight.
So are you looking to just roll into attack there?
Yeah. Right, and as soon as you're guaranteed that 14 is like slow and stopped, and you still have momentum, you roll right into that tack, right, and blow out. Even if they still get to the pin, hopefully your middle pair is already over the top, right, at that point. Like, they're not going to have a good start. They're going to be buried underneath there. So they have to tuck. Both of you have to tack and tuck sterns, but this way you're able to lead out from that and lead to the right. Right. Now, the beautiful thing for 13 is that if 13's teammate won the boat, kind of owned that, then they could do that. They need to communicate to the boat pair to hold, right, when you're doing that reverse rabbit out, because the worst thing that could happen is that you get slammed by your own teammate, right, which definitely happens, right, if they're not looking. So you got to be like, hold, I'm coming, you know, whatever you want to say, right, whatever your terminology is, like, hold your guy, let me go, right, to do that.
14 was obviously in a really bad spot there, but was there anything they could have done better, like not trying to fend 13 gap, like trying to like hook them at the last couple of seconds if they knew that like that wasn't really 13's game plan?
They could have recognized it when you hear Clinton talking about it in there. They could have done it where they could have tacked out earlier. That was probably the best move. Obviously, don't be too early.
Was that when 13's bow was beneath their stern going for the hook they could have tacked out?
Yeah, yeah, because that's a time where like you're going opposite, so you can tack out, right, to do that. So that would be the time. Obviously, if you are leading, right, like 14's leading in this case, you don't want to be early, right? You'd rather be a little late, right? So he did the opposite. And then I have one more. The same thing. by the way, for the video footage, Brad, we did this on, all this footage is done with a laser mast, laser top section, and we put a GoPro on top.
Oh, really?
And so we just like oriented the GoPro that way. So it's another good way to get that. Okay. One last video.
Let's go, dry start. Let's go.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that sounds bad. Sounds like a car.
Is this at Yale?
No, St. Mary's.
Okay.
Don't you recognize the mates?
Oh yeah.
They got the Virgie. They got the.
These are probably the same damn
Literally
mates.
the same ones we've alive.
Yeah, I think you guys are the Perchy ones, so this is an older version. So yeah, this is at St. Mary's. You can see that this is what do you call it? St. Mary's like bridge breeze, where it comes from the totally wrong direction. So it's shifty and puffy for that. But this is a start between Stanford and BC. And so we can see a lot from the start and what's kind of happening. So trying to kind of pull it all together is the last thing that we'll look at, I promise. Thank you for bearing with me. Okay, so what can we notice from the, and this isn't drone footage, this is old school, like video camera on a tripod. What do we notice here right now from the starting line?
It looks like no one's getting like crushed. It's a pretty even for
Yeah,
everybody.
it's pretty close to a 50-50 start.
Is that the pin, the green thing?
Green thing is the pin.
Okay.
Looks like black has the pin and the boat, and there are two red sailors right next to each other.
Yep, it does look like 12 is, that the boat is doing something interesting.
Tight line.
But-
Everyone has a pretty tight lane.
Okay, tight lane. What do we notice about what the breeze is doing right now?
They're in a puff, I guess.
What direction? It's pretty right.
Yeah.
Right, if you look at a committee boat, right? And boat looks favored in this view at least.
Yeah,
Right.
it does.
And we have a right shift from that. So good things to observe, but you can see what's the puff in front. Can you see that in that? See that dark water up there? There's gonna be a lefty.
Yeah.
Right? So we're in a righty, there's a lefty coming, right? It's a narrow band lefty, so it's gonna be short lived. Right? Smaller the band, the faster the puff moves, the slower the the less shift it is. Okay, so we'll look through here.
Oh, whoa.
There's the start.
sketch tag.
BC's black.
Where are they
Whoa,
going?
whoa.
Okay, so now we look at the boat pair, right? Black 12 was behind here. They tack out. One tacks with them. But what do we see here?
10 goes with.
10 goes with them too, so that middle
Close.
pair goes out. One has to do what? Is one in a great spot?
No.
No.
They probably should attack sooner because now 12 can come back on starboard.
Yeah, and maybe they could know, but they didn't close out the boat, certainly. Right? They let 12 have a good start at the boat. So 12 is in clean air right now, moving to the right. So there's a weakness here, right, to do that. The pin pair, what do we see out there?
We'll definitely get pinched off in the lefty.
Get attacked along.
Yeah, we're saying like totally different angles,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
To be fair, it is really shifty and puffy. That's fine. Okay, 2 bails out. Obviously 11 goes with him. All right, so here's our first interaction on the right side. Chose to lee bow.
Holy.
Black ducks through. What do we think about here on the right for red? From red's perspective.
I think it looks good.
It's looking better, right? In the way that 3 crossed all of them, right? Is in control of 10, so they're in control of the right. So now I pretty much give the right to red. It's not a foregone conclusion because 10 still has some room. Right? It'd be better if 3 was bow out, right from there. And red is now looking more 50-50 on this boat coming back. They're not clearly losing that, right? They're in ahead from that. Obviously, red's losing the pin pair. Right? So right now, you're looking to hold on to 2 pairs, right?
Holy. See how they do crazy lol.
Okay. So now if we see this here, our red boat here tacked in front and it's totally controlling position on the right, check. Right? Red owns the right. Middle is still 50-50, that hasn't turned yet. It's a loss for red out here. Right, to do that. So the middle now becomes really important. Because really important because we want those two pairs. Right? So either red is going to try to get over the left pair or win his pair here.
So should black on the left come over and like be helping, like just let the guy go on the left?
No, because they're winning that pair.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
Because they want to own that pair. And black is doing, as much as it pains me to say, BC is doing the right thing here, right? By tacking in front, right there in front.
Left and go.
Holy.
So as far right as it was in the starting line, now it's left.
Classic.
Right?
Ryan loves these conditions.
Which is great for red in that middle pair, right?
So
Yeah.
Red has that pair nailed on the right, and they got a potential pass back on the left. Should they just roll straight into play 2 and give up that boat?
I don't think they're winning.
So, but now both teams kind of have a play at play too, right?
Because they have the 130, I guess.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Right? Like in this condition, I would never. I mean, we just saw how
Yeah.
right looked so good, left looked off the page, and now left looks so good, right looked good. You never want to assume like a 1-2 from across the course, right? So, right now, if you were black, where's the play?
Plays on the right side.
Plays on the right side, right? If you go all the way to the right, right, that means that you're really confident the left isn't going to come in. Because it goes all the way to the right and the left comes in, it's 2-on-1 on the other side, you can assume that red's going to win that, right? It's not so good, right? So here, this black guy in the 1, I keep pushing my hand there, but the black guy in the 1 has a really tough decision. Most likely he has to hold right now. There's nothing for him to do.
He doesn't want to cover his pair, or no?
No, because if he goes down and commits, see what's red doing here. They've committed to something.
They're gonna pass back.
They're trying to do this pass back
Yeah.
here, right? So they're going down to that pass back, right? There really isn't, the mark is like up here.
Okay.
There really is an advantage for him to follow him over there,
Yeah.
right? Like, yes, you could follow him, but I wouldn't go down.
Yeah.
I would be like, I think I'm in the 1 right now, I'm gonna hold the 1. Right?
Okay.
If you're black. If you're red, you're like, play 2, play 2, play 2, play 2, right? I'm going for the 2-3-4 right away. I'm winning this pair out here, and I need to win this pair. Should this pair be balancing? Should red be balancing out here right now?
No. Right.
Not with these conditions, right? If the breeze was super steady and you could see it clearly, yes, maybe, right? But still pretty early in the beat, right? We're kind of middle of the beat right now. We're just getting positioning, right? But they should stay in control.
Crazy righty. Holy.
Comes into play.
Massive. What is black doing?
Well, I think they're kind of hedging their bet in
Oh,
depth up.
okay.
So releases now we're coming back, and black is now Lee bowing, right? We're attacking in front, Lee bow, attack in front, whatever. Here. Now, we notice right here. This is what happens. So 11 here, that was in the 1, went over and kind of Lee bowed or attacked in front, right? Same
Yeah.
thing, of this pair. Instantly, when 11 finished the attack, 2 started luffing their jib. Why?
Because they want to attack?
Did they want to slow 12?
because they want to be closer to 12 than 11 is to 2. Right? We've got to manage the gap right here. So the subtle move of just luffing the jib gets 2 closer to 12. They don't even have to do anything yet. But now I'm getting closer to 12. So if 11 comes back on me, I'm going to be right on 12. Right? Do unto others as they do unto you. Right? So now I'm managing this gap right here. Right? I'm trying to get closer to 12. I don't want 11 to take me out. They end up messing it up. But so this guy's like planing in as you get an FJ on the other side. And if we notice here, the pair from the right side, right, coming in this puff, he's not trying to do anything too magical, right? First of all, they're in big breeze, right, coming across randomly. Like they were sitting inside the boat a second ago. They're in this big breeze. He's not going to try to balance or do too much. He's just trying to manage the rounding. And in this case, if you're a red, you're thinking, hold the 2-3, hold the 2-3, hold the 2-3. All I want is the 2-3 out of the situation. If I get anything better than that, awesome, right? But hold the 2-3 right now. If you're black, you're like, maybe I can make a play 1 here, but probably not. Three should have lead bowed there. No mistake. It's alright, so I can get away with it.
It's 2 knots.
Were we trying to slow to get beneath 12? Or too late?
Why is 3 luffing? They gonna
They're gonna set up to mark trap.
They're going to set up because now they
double
have,
mark trap?
It's a 3-on-2.
yeah. So now
Yeah.
they've got they're going to try to double team here, pick up these 2 guys, and formulate the 2-3-4. 11, which is the black boat that's in 1, kept going. Good move or bad move?
Bad move.
I think it's actually probably a good move.
They're
Like
gonna play
how
4,
uneven the
yeah.
conditions are.
Yeah.
It's not a whole
Okay.
lot. They can't risk the 1 at this point.
Yeah.
There's a lot that could go wrong for red here.
Mhm.
Right, to do it. So, and then you could see, look right above them, there's a big
Yeah.
puff coming down, right, which is going to change everything, right, from this. But as crazy as this is, red ends up winning this race 1-2-3. Right, yeah, yeah, totally insane. It was completely wacky. But that's kind of what you're thinking through that, and that's a really challenging first beat, where both teams are thinking play 2, going up to it, and black probably it wasn't even their choice. They kind of get their 1 got shoved in the 1, right, by like a fair big margin. You're like, I'm here. There's no reason for me to drop the 1 in this crazy situation. I'm going to hold on to it and play this out, right, as much as I can. And he's got to have faith in his teammates back here to make something happen. Yes, it's a 3-on-2, not great odds, but with the chaos that's happening, it's probably better odds than not, right? So that's actually a good decision for that to be done. So that's a good look at what kind of a typical beat would look like for 2 good teams. 50-50 off the line, both teams are going for play 2, right? Not so crazy.
What do they try to do on this? I'm just curious. In the 2-3-6, are they just gonna try to each pick a boat and kind of like split them right there, right on leg
Yep.
1 or a reach leg?
Yep.
Wow.
So they end up grabbing them. The video got cut off here, but they end up grabbing both of them here and holding them high, and the 1 here goes into 2
Huh.
from that. Just sails the low lane going through. The thing that's really valuable here is that where is 12 and 10's attention right now?
Back.
They're back, right? How easy is it to control your speed on the reach?
Not too.
Kind of
Well,
easy.
I mean, like if you're ready for it.
In terms of like accelerating, it's probably
Yeah.
pretty easy,
Yeah.
right? It's like easier angle
Yeah.
to accelerate from. So stopping right here after the mark, when these boats had to do attack and they're focused back, is a great time to jump them, right? And be able to do that. But your boat 1 has to be really heads up. Where can 1 go? Can't go high, right? If 1 stays high above 10 and 12, we're game over.
Yeah.
right? So they can't get hooked here. One has to have the ability to put their bow down, right? So it has to, all 3 boats have to be in the same page here, what we call 3 boats across, right? They all are getting this, right? Like these 2 boats are going in, so we know instantly, you know, we're at 2-3-6 at the windward mark. This is, and the play is close. We're doing this. This is the play all the time.
So you guys had that like set in you guys'
Yeah.
okay. Cool.
And it's all determined on gap,
Yeah.
right? So if we're going to do it Mark 1, if we're going to do Mark 2, the gap's this is the play. We don't need to tell each other,
Yeah.
right? We know that the gap's this is the play, this is what we're hammering to
So
do.
if you're what, less than 2 boat lengths at Mark 1, you just jump them right there, especially if you have a boat close behind pushing, distracting them. If it's like 2, 3, 4 boat lengths, 3 boat lengths, 4 plus, you kind of go, let's set it up at Mark 2.
Yep.
And then how would you combat that if 12 kept 1 pinned above them while rounding the mark?
Yeah, so if you're the black team here, they would have to play hard and double team more, right? And just hit that hard. So it's a battle of going who can go the slowest right here to do that. They'd have to anticipate this happening and play back therefore. And these 2 boats are going to each pick up 1 boat. They work together to do that. And then as soon as they've kind of killed the gap, right, you double team to kill the gap, then they can kind of split off and cover, and then you just weave in like a 2-3-4. The crazy thing that happened here is that they control this 2-3-4. One of the black boats fouls, I think at Mark 2, and then they go downwind. The other boat tries to slow. They get a puff from behind. All 3 boats pass the one, and it's like gone, right? Like the 3 red boats were finishing as like the black boats were rounding Mark 4, because they got the puff and the puff came through and then it died. It was like, yeah. This weekend, the red team won every single race from the regatta, and we just got like every lucky puff that way. It was like insane. It was like anything.
Blessed.
I cannot say the same.
Yeah. In this condition, it's like, yeah. But that's a good beat to like look at.
Yeah.
Right, encouraging. Okay, questions? Yep.
So in super puffy conditions, should you be more careful about how much you're slowing, just in case like everyone just gets like a puff and you're just kind of screwed?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely, right? And we would have never in general in that condition go over and make that pass back. We just let it play out longer, but it was so clear, right? Like there was nothing else that was going to happen, right? To make that pass back, so it's okay to do that, right? That's why you're never like, you have to do this when this, right? Like you have to have some play in it, right? But in shifty conditions like that, most of the time, because you could say 1 shift and jump the whole fleet, right? 6 can become first so easily, right? To be able to do that. So you're more careful of trying to play too much. Yep.
How would the black one manage the downwind here? Like, would he go to the ley line and like hang out there, or would he just like keep the lead in the 1, but still just sort of not gap too much?
Okay, so when you have a condition, if you're the 1 in a 1-5-6, right, or a 1 in a 1-4-5, right, so with that, if the condition that you're going to the downwind, if the condition is really hard to keep the 1 in, go, right? Keep the biggest gap you can that you feel comfortable of holding the 1, right?
And that's through Mark 3, like rounding Mark 3.
No, you want to stop at Mark 3.
Gotcha. Okay, that's
Right,
fine.
because that's the time where that's like your last chance to tee up and kind of make some chaos, right? So that's a good time to do that. So if you're in the 1, you want to hold the gap that's comfortable to hold the 1, right? So if it's like blowing 10 to 12 in flat water, your gap should be pretty small, right? And you can actually start being more active. If it's blowing 0 to 2, your gap's probably going to be the biggest gap you've seen in your life, right? Like you're just trying to play your condition as much as you can. So you're judging your gap that way. Do it. What if you round up here in a 2-5-6, right? And you're going into Mark 2 with a 2-5-6. Ideal combo, right? You're losing big time, right? You're a 2-5-6, so it's different than the 1-5-6. In 1-5-6, you definitely want to hold the 1 and pray that your team's going to do it in the back, right? If not, you're going to create chaos at Mark 3, right? And then again at Mark 4. But if you're in a 2-5-6, you don't have that ability, right? So do you just hold on to the 2? What would you do?
We were mentioning this yesterday, right?
Yep.
Where you kind of take yourself out and try to set up like a 3-4 chase on the 1-2. So turning it.
So turning a losing combination into a better losing combination. So a close 1-2 chase is better than a 2-5-6, right? So if you're the 2 and it happens, it's the easiest to happen at mark 2 on the reach. You pick up one boat as the 2 and you bury them to the back, right? You're making them deep and you let your 2 teammates go forward and chase, right? To do that, right? And so you're trying to have them set up for a tight 1-2 chase. Right? Now, if you do that and your teammates are really far back, you've already lost the race. Right? It's over. But do whatever you can, right? Yeah. But that's the idea that you would do that. There's another concept that I talked to some of the players yesterday that I want to spread to the whole team. A 1-2-3 is extremely valuable. Right? A lot of times I saw the play happen yesterday where you would have a 1-2-3 and then the 3 would kind of pick up an ace and take one boat really far back, right? And that'd be it. I would protect the 1-2-3 and weave it like the 2-3-4. Hold on to the 1-2-3 as much as possible. Having the 1-2-3, it seems like obvious, right? But having the 1-2-3 is so valuable because a 1-2 is so tenuous downwind, right? Things could change really quickly. So having the 1-2-3 is huge. When I was at Stanford, we call it its own play. We call it play Charlie. And so when you hear Charlie out, you would start weaving and you would play for the 1-2-3, right? To do that. Right? You wouldn't play back. That would be, oh, I'm not, having the insurance of an ace. I'm going to keep the 1-2-3 as long
And
as
that's
we can.
until Mark 3, right?
Really till mark 4, right? And honestly, like, you might as well keep it up a beat,
And then you
right?
just-
Like, would you sacrifice, finishing in a 1-2-3 as opposed to like losing the 1? No, you wouldn't, right? So you could finish in a 1-2-4 there or a 1-2-5, at the end. But on that last beat, you might as well weave it up and keep the 1-2-3. And you set up the same weave that you would do for the 2-3-4, right? It's just you have the advantage that no one's in front of you, right? So it should be easier. But holding on to 1-2-3, it sounds silly, but that's a really good combo to hold on to. So don't give it up. Cool. Any other questions?
Having a 1-2 downwind, you said that was a pretty tenuous combo.
Yeah.
So you have a 1-2 and a deep 6. What are some tips that you have in maintaining that 1-2 in spite of the other team just like hammering at you downwind?
That's a good question. So, and the 1-2, and you have the deep 6, so you assume like 6 is out of it completely. So it's a 2-on-3, right, essentially for it. So what ends up happening is you have to do kind of one ISO and one zone defense, right? So your boat that's to the left, which is going to be the 2, right? Because only the 2 can protect the left. The 1 can't really do that. Is on their own. They've got to protect the left, and then the 1 has to balance the inside lanes. Where you lose that all the time is the boat from the inside lane, will pass everybody, right? You've got to protect those inside lanes downwind, so the rain's to the right looking downwind, and the 2 looking to the left downwind is just controlling and staying in front of that boat. You don't need to worry about balancing at all until boats start coming together at the end of the run. The biggest mistake is that the 1 would start balancing hard too early for those boats inside and get passed, right, and get beat up from there. So what a good way for the 1 to balance inside is to take small bites of the apple. Instead of trying to do one big balance, do small hits. Like balance, like hit someone, force them to the right, head them up a little bit, and then release and go downwind. And then do it again. And then do it again. But doing small hits. You don't have to go up very far at all, right? Just like have their bow move up and then release. And make sure you hold on to that spot. And doing small bites, you're doing small slows as you do that. You know as the 1 that you're going to have to do that, have to balance. As soon as you see the 2's bow, have to stay up higher and higher and higher to protect, right? You know there's going to be a balance on the other side because they're now sailing away from the mark, right? And so you have to have faith that your teammate's going to hold there with that 1 boat, and it might be 2 boats, right? You could split off depending on what their attack is, and that you got to balance the other lane, right, to do it. The key move for the one going downwind is that you have to stay to the left in the inside of the opponents, right? Always setting up to the left. You don't want to be directly in front. You want to move yourself in here. So if you're the one, you'd slow down and be here so you can take small hits and keep pushing them to the right, right? You don't want them to pass you, obviously, but you want to be inside here, not out front like that.
So is the one the leftmost of the 1, 2, 3? No, right? 2 is leftmost?
We're talking about the 1, 2,
Okay.
and the 2 is the leftmost, but always,
Okay.
right? The 2 has to protect.
Protect the left side.
Yeah. There's no other way
Yeah.
of really putting it together. You can't have the one switch. Usually, you'd
So
have
then the
boat in
one,
front,
but the one
two
has to balance so he can go ahead. The 2 can go ahead.
right, because the 2's fighting and sailing horizontal from the finish line, or from the Mark III, right? So they're sailing
Yeah.
away. They're not sailing dead downwind.
Yeah.
They're reaching and doing this
Okay.
away from Mark
To
II.
protect the left.
And so they have to protect the left. They
Yeah.
can't get past and jump this way. Right.
Left facing downwind.
Left facing downwind.
Okay.
so they're
All right, that
protecting
makes more
the starboard
sense.
advantage.
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
even at, like the 3-4 and a 2-3-4, that's kind of what's happening.
All right.
The 3 is, helping balance on the course right. If anybody comes there, sort of clogging the lane and making sure nobody else helps. It's
Yeah.
hard in 1-2 because you got 3 boats doing it, but the idea is the least advantaged boat on your team, you have to give them the biggest advantage. So you give them starboard. and-
Yeah.
Yeah.
The high
so
lane.
They're gonna go high because that's the only option to protect themselves.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So left looking downwind, right?
Yeah. I got confused, like left and then port and starboard and stuff. Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, good tip.
I think in the last ditch effort too,
Well,
like
there's two
theoretically, what the
directions,
one
so
could
it's
do
like-
is just grab, make sure they balance one of the guys, and if the other guy gets around them, they go, okay, we're in a 2-3-6 now, and hit it on the last leg, right?
Yes. If it's a deep 6, that might be hard.
Right,
So
right.
sketch.
But certainly the double team is easier to set up upwind. It's like the one time where like losing is okay upwind when you have a double team in the 2-3. That's why the 2-3 becomes so powerful, because it's easier to balance and push those guys back on the upwind and easier to set up upwind. Right? Downwind it's a little bit harder. It's easy for a boat to slide through it. Right? Or for you to foul. It's usually how it messes up. So, especially around Mark IV, it's pretty easy to set up the double team.
So if you're in like 2, 3, 5, or 6, like not at the bottom mark, at the reach mark or on the upland leg, you think is better? Yeah.
Being in the 2-3,
Mm-hmm.
so yes, it's better than what? Sorry.
Like instead of doing the pass back on the downwind, like if you're 2, 3, 6, do it on the second upland.
No, I would first try to do it at the reach mark at Mark II,
Okay.
around that first reach. And if it looks sketchy, then release and hold on to the 2-3. Don't do
Okay.
anything that would lose the 2-3. And then you can set it up downwind and try to do it again downwind. And then you could do it, but most of the time when you would do a 2-3-6 balance upwind on that last beat is because you had a 2-3-4 on the run and you lost it,
Okay.
right? But I wouldn't be afraid of losing that. I would hold
Yeah.
on to the 2-3 part of it, right? I would sacrifice the 4 rather, to hold on to the 2-3,
Okay.
right? If that need to happen.
Because that's like the more important part of the combination.
If you have the 2-3, you're playing the game. You're
All right.
winning, right? All the
Yeah.
way to the very end. Right, and you can keep playing that all the way to the end. Usually teams win in a 1-4-5 because they played a team that isn't very good, or because it was a pure battle on that last beat, and that's just the combination that
That
finished.
crossed. Yeah. Okay.
The only time we won in a 1-4-5 against USF at Nationals, and the last beat, I mean, the gap between the 4 and 5 was so substantial going into the beginning of the last beat. Chris Weiss was our 5, so he was just match racing, and basically that race I think took 35 minutes. It was the longest race of Nationals because it was just 2 boats just double teaming Sterling all the way to the end as he's basically like reaching back and forth trying to get to the finish line, and we won with inches. So like even with the most giant gap you can imagine, it's so hard to win with the 1-4-5. Like you have to, like it usually seems like it just happens at the last second, like things changed up and that's how it happened. But if you're winning with like an actual gap 1-4-5, it's because they had like a deep 6 and we just like it was clamped immediately and it was like a leg distance. I don't know if you disagree, but 145s are really tough.
Yeah, and it's usually a combo that you finish in, like, randomly.
Yeah, it just happened by accident. Yeah.
It's just the way the boats cross the line. Because, like, in that instance, like, the one, if you're in the 2-3 and they're double teaming you upwind, if the one goes in, it can easily get a ride on the 2-3. And if the 6 can get out, or if the 5 can get out there, 4 can get out there, sorry, then it's a 1-2. And that's usually what happens. Like, the 2-3 drops down and it turns into a 1-2.
Yeah.
But like 145s at the leeward mark usually turn into 1-2s, right? Like that's usually how it goes for either team, right? They could go either way, but that's usually how it goes. So 145 is never really a play that you're like, yes,
Let's go.
I'm in, right? You're in 145, you're like, I'm in for the long haul on this one. So, or you have Chris Weiss who wants to just destroy someone. For hours.
I mean, my point in that comment is like, even in that scenario, it was inches at the end. Like, it was not ideal. I was like, Jesus, this is crazy. You know, like, yeah, we had practiced it and the whole thing. That was when we realized it was like, this doesn't work. It's so hard to do, even if we got the win on that race.
Cool. Sometimes you win a 145 at like the McIntyre team race, right? Because you're sailing against somebody random and something happened, like you spun or something like that, and you end up holding like a 145 all the way around the race course. You know, that's the type of times that will happen. So. Cool. All right. Any other questions? Comments? No. Good questions. Okay. So, what do we think about on the water, Brad?
Yeah, are we starting out with the start drill again?
Yeah, I mean, are we good to go? We got breeze, we can go down?
Yeah, I mean, based on what I saw earlier, I'll go take a look at it again, but I think we have enough. It's pulling up 3
Bob.
from the southeast.
Yo!
Classic.
Fucking get psyched.
Classic. Embrace the suck.
So we'll start with the starting drill. We'll go out and put a bunch of marks out. Pair up on your own, just grab a partner. It doesn't matter from that. And we'll do the rolling 3s again. This time it'll be the boat. No, this time it'll be the pin. Sorry, we did the boat yesterday.